Good. Things going real well, Virginia. Real well.
What a super wild card weekend. You know, it is days like today. I am truly thankful I get to sit across from you and do this show. Seriously.
Wow.
I mean, the game was, but I didn't see the intrigue that I thought I was going to get.
Really?
No.
Pouring cold water on that.
What were you watching?
But that's okay. Your day coming.
You know, you are such a pessimist and a naysayer.
Next Sunday. Now, see how you giggling right now? I need that energy next Sunday. Next Monday. Next Monday. Yeah, next
Wild card weekend was awesome. I agree with Skip. I did not move from my couch all weekend, and it was perfect. And we have to start by the shocker that we saw last night. The Browns capitalized off early mistakes by the Steelers to jump out to a 28-0 lead last night. Pittsburgh turned it over 4 times in the first half and could not pull themselves closer than 11 points the rest of the night. Baker did not commit a single turnover and also had over 250 passing yards to go along with 3 touchdowns in the 48-37 win. So, Shannon, how shocking was this?
Yeah, we probably should have saw this coming. Now, I was with few ones, and they called Shannon, you're a hater because you played with the Ravens and you don't know what you're talking about. I say, Skip, the problem that I see with them offensively is their inability to run the football. You can't have 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, can't pick that up, and then you drop back to pass, and God get his hands up, Skip, now you're off the field. And what we saw was Ben's inability to push the ball down the field. Now, in the last 30 years, the Steelers are the 4th team to turn the ball over 3 times in the 4th quarter. The teams lost by an average of 11 points a game. In those 14. Skip, what was the final score last night? They were right on cue to what would happen to the previous 3 teams that did what they did last night. Now, the Browns didn't want to do anything out of, didn't get carried away, Skip, because this game really could have been over. If they came out and scored right after the half, because it was 35-7 going in. Baker did a great job of leading them down the field, getting it to 35-7. If they scored a touchdown right out the gate, the ball game is over from that point on. But, Skip, we saw this coming. The Steelers had been playing. They've been trending down for an extended period of time. And we let it say, well, they got it in cruise control. They're trying to avoid injuries. But what we saw, the inability to run the football and the defensive injuries started to mount. When they lost Bud Dupree, now I can divert all my attention to T.J. Watt. And plus, they got the all-pro right tackle in Jack Conklin, so that kind of neutralized.
Although he went out about mid-game last night. He limped off.
But if you think about it, Skip, you look at the center. He's an all-pro. You look at the right guard. They're loaded. So,
except Batonio wasn't there, who's a Pro Bowl guard with COVID.
Right. So if you look at them across the board, even if Steelers at full strength, they can do a great job of neutralizing what the Steelers do well. Now, they can't run the football, Skip, and I knew eventually it was going to catch up. Ben not pushing the ball down the field, a lot of tip passes. Skip, when we say empty calories, this is the epitome. This is French toast with powdered sugar. This is potato chip, French fries. Because you're going to look at Ben and be like, oh, my, Ben threw for 500. That's only the 2nd time in NFL history a guy thrown for 500 yards in a playoff game. Tom got the record, 505 in the Super Bowl. But, Skip, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he had to play. None of these yards were meaningful because none of them came when they was in 1 score or 2 scores. Basically, they've been 3 scores the entire game. So we shouldn't be surprised by what we saw with the Steelers because we saw it trending that way for an extended period of time, and we let it go unnoticed.
Okay, so back to the question. How shocked was I? I was shocked, but I was not surprised, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Obviously, I was shocked by the opening of the game because when do you ever see anything like that happen?
The Super Bowl.
Except for that Peyton Manning Super Bowl versus Legion of Boom.
Well, at least they got a save, did it? They were smart enough to fall on it in his zone.
And that wound up 43-8.
Yes.
That was much worse than this was.
Correct.
Because the Legion of Boom was just impenetrable.
Right.
And once they jumped out to a lead, it was game way over.
Correct.
This was not game way over because there was a flashpoint moment. I'm going to go to that before I rave about Baker and company.
So you thought the Steelers would go actually come back and win this game or get in this game?
I was rooting for Baker because I love Baker because he played for the University of Oklahoma, and I pushed for him to be the first pick in the draft. But I will say this. I thought that Cleveland, the Browns, were goners with 4:52 left. So it's right away, first play of the 4th quarter. And I'm the biggest Mike Tomlin fan. I've said it 1,000 times on this show, but I thought he blew this one because Ben finally locked in and cleaned it up and started to hit wide open receivers. Because I'm going to remind everybody, Cleveland was down 3 of 4 starters in the defensive backfield. Okay, what is that any shock that he starts to pick them to pieces?
Right.
So they have cut it to 35-23, and they have 4th and 1 at their own 46-yard line. I thought it would be like a 90% conversion rate on it because Ben was hot. And when he gets hot, I always say, beware backyard Ben, because when he starts just playing some backyard football, he has enough weapons, not at running back, but all the wideouts.
Right.
And you can throw in the tight ends if you want. I know they're hit and miss, but still, he's got enough receiving weapons that he can riddle that defense. So do I think he would have converted that to Juju over the middle for 3 yards or whatever it took? Yes, I do.
I think what scared Coach Tomlin is that he had it 3rd and 1, he got stopped, and he had another short, and they got their hands up, and he got an interception.
But all of a sudden, the momentum had shifted dramatically and wildly to the home team.
I know where you're going to go with this, and we're going to talk about it a little later. I think this situation is different than Mike Vrabel. Even though they had done a great job on Derrick Henry, that is still Derrick Henry. James Conner isn't Derrick Henry.
I didn't even think twice about Vrabel,
right.
but I thought 5 times about this one. Because once he punted, Baker and company went whoosh down the field and scored, and all of a sudden, yikes, it felt like game over.
Right.
But what if Pittsburgh had converted and gone right down the field and scored, and all of a sudden it's 35-30? Would you have liked Pittsburgh's chances from there? Sure, you would have. Okay, now back to what I think happened last night. I agree with you. Pittsburgh was unraveling down the stretch. They got to 11-0, and I thought a lot of people think fraudulent 11-0. I don't think fraudulent because they've beaten Baltimore twice in that stretch.
But you saw them against the Steelers. You saw them against the Cowboys. We saw them against lesser teams.
You could see the wheels starting to teeter. Maybe one wheel had come off. Obviously, Bud Dupree wheel came off. And obviously, Devin Bush had already been lost in the middle. And I love Devin Bush and thought he was a steal of the draft that year. And obviously, Joe Hayden was gone last night. So you're taking away 3 of your key pieces. Defensive line, linebacker, cornerback.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to have a hard time. But I also thought that this was big brother to little brother. And what did Juju continue to say last week? The Browns is the Browns. And I got it. That's their attitude. The Browns is the Browns. Okay, they're coming in here, and they'd beaten them 17 straight times at Pittsburgh. All of a sudden, the Browns are COVID-racked. All of a sudden, they don't have their head coach and this coach and that, and Bill Callahan, the great offensive line coach. And all of a sudden, the special teams coach is the head coach? Coach Prefer? Seriously? What is this? And they're down all these players. They're down Denzel Ward. We could go on Batonio.
The play caller.
Okay, and the play caller.
Maybe the Steelers overlooked that, Skip.
Okay,
they can't practice. They can't.
And they can't practice for really 2 weeks. They had not been able to practice. And I think that they were just laying in the weeds because they came in as Baker's buzzsaw because they've been trending north for the last 5-6 weeks. And this team, as you said, has been trending south. So I believe this team, the once proud Pittsburgh Steelers, walked onto the field last night thinking, you know what? They're in trouble, and it's time for us to flip the proverbial switch. And when they flipped it, the electricity had been turned off.
Somebody shut the power off, Skip. They ran into the same trap that I ran into when I was evaluating them. I said, hold on. They were a 2-point conversion with Mason Rudolph. Excuse me, Mason Rudolph. I said, they're a 2-point conversion from tying the game with Mason Rudolph, and the Browns are playing everybody going full throttle. You telling me